It's time for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. On your radio at AM 940 and online at mywithersradio.com. Recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the premier radio feature programs in the state. You're about to roam the region with more guests and content courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. Live from the Powerhouse, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
And we welcome you into the Saturday Sports Show. WMIX, mywithersradio.com. Glad to have you with us, of course, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
I guess you could say it's a season premiere of sorts as we begin our high school football previews today. We'll talk Black Diamond Conference today. Of course, next week we'll have the River to River, and then the following week on the 18th we'll wrap it up with the South 7 Conference. Now, we know football's not the only thing going on right now. Obviously, volleyball, golf, cross country, girls tennis, all going on at the high school sports level at this, or getting ready to go on, of course, as the season and school year are about to get underway for many of the schools in the area. Of course, we'll talk Black Diamond Conference today. Feel we have a pretty loaded lineup for you to start. We'll talk to Johnny Hollis of the Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn Red Devils. Mark Beitler, new coach at Hamilton County. We'll have him on for the first time today. Kurt Simon, you may remember him if you're a Rams fan, as the head coach of the Central Orphans a time ago. Now a very successful head coach down at Carmi-White County. We'll also have, for first time making his Saturday Sports Show debut, the head coach of the Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton Bearcats. That'll be Josh McCurren. We'll also have Justin Townsend, a return appearance here. He is the head coach of the Fairfield Mules, and we will also have Dan Mings of the Johnston City Indians. So pretty busy lineup for you today. We're glad to have all those guests. We're glad to have you with us for our season premiere, so to speak, though we've been on the entire year. Sports, of course, as you know, don't take the summer off. But that being said, we've been with you for the entire summer. But we're glad to welcome you back as we start to talk more high school sports as football, volleyball, golf, cross country, girls tennis, all, of course, in season. Dance teams, of course, getting back into it as well, and football cheerleaders and whatnot. As we look to the high school sports season. Can't believe it, we're not that far away. Our first broadcast, in fact, will be Thursday, August the 23rd, as the Lady Rams volleyball team will welcome Weber Township into J.D. Shields Memorial Stadium. You can watch that on mywithersradio.com. Of course, you can listen to it here on AM 940. Same to be said the following night, as the Mount Vernon Rams football team welcome the Rochester Rockets on Friday, August the 24th, 6:40 pregame. WMIX, mywithersradio.com. You can watch that one as the Rams battle the defending 4A state champs. So we'll look ahead to all of that and more today here on the Saturday Sports Show. We will look at the Black Diamond Conference. 6 coaches, 6 of the 10 today. Obviously don't feel there's enough time to visit every coach from every conference and be able to get an in-depth interview and be able to find out more about their team. I know some like that. Some try to get every coach, but you know, we like to know more than just a simple couple of questions. We like to actually try to figure out what's going to happen in 2012 based on our sit-down. So we'll see what happens today. Of course, Johnny Hollis, Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn will get us started. We did talk to him a couple of weeks ago. We talked about, you know, how their summer was going, some of his objectives as he takes over the helm for, of course, John Shadowins, who retired from that position last year, so to speak. But we'll talk to Johnny to start us off here in just a few minutes. But the important thing to look out at the Black Diamond, Danny Zerwinski in studio, Jeff Crow with you as well. I'm Chris Hugo. Carmi-White County, I don't think, Danny, it's ever a surprise if Carmi-White County takes the Black Diamond Conference. I just think it was somewhat of a surprise. Many thought Johnston City might be the team that ran the table. Carmi-White County ended up running the table. I believe they toppled Johnston City in the second week of the season, 42-8. It's somewhat of a surprise, but Carmi-White County ended up running the table in that conference. Johnston City a game behind. But the important thing was El Dorado got back to some winning ways, going 6-3 last year.
El Dorado has been coming on strong with Brandon Hampton at the helm. Obviously, over the years, it's been a Johnson City, Carterville, Carmi kind of conference. You get your blips of Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn, Hamilton County, and others that jump in. Carterville moves out of the conference. Chester comes in. Chester's been in the playoff a couple of times. A down year last couple of years. But when you look at the conference, there's more balance, and I think the balance used to be Carterville, Carmi, Johnston City, and then the middle pack, and then the lower rung. And now with the last 2 or 3 years especially, more of a balance in the BDC. You're seeing teams, Carmi 1 in 11, JC in 2010, Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn in 09. So you have 3 different teams that have been on top in the conference the last 3 years. And for a while, there was only 3 teams that would run it for about 7 or 8 year stretch, or 9, and now you're getting more teams. I think it's a more balanced Black Diamond Conference with Carterville and Chester changing spots.
Sure, and you know, we're not that far removed, as you just said, from a Carterville Johnson City Carmi triangle there for a few years to start the millennium in the new Black Diamond Conference, as they called it then, especially when it started to shift gears 03-04-ish, and with the emergence of some of the NEC teams into the BDC and whatnot. But you take a look now, a lot more parity in the BDC, and we'll talk about some of that parity today with some of the coaches coming up. We'll start with Johnny Hollis. We just had him on a few weeks ago, but we'll get more in-depth this time. Talk about some of his skill positions, talk about how the Red Devils plan to attack the 2012 football season. This is a Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Johnny Hollis coming up after the break. Back.
Get PNB to Go mobile banking now at People's National Bank. Hi, this is Monica Wilt, relationship banker at People's National Bank. With PNB to Go mobile banking, check your balances, see transaction activity, transfer between accounts, and pay bills all from your mobile phone. PNB to Go mobile banking makes banking even more convenient. People's National Bank, making your life easier since 1909.
People's National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Our factory-certified technicians are ready for you. Hi, Mike Russell, General Manager at Schmidt Ford of Salem. When you think about service, we are one well-rounded bunch. With our certified technicians that can tackle all your warranty problems with gas or diesel motors, or our heavy-duty truck technicians that can take care of all your semi-trailer, and heavy truck service needs. We can do it all, from tires, oil changes, to complete rebuilds. If you are in the need of service, come see us at Schmidt Ford of Salem, 1815 West Main, Salem, Illinois, your service headquarters.
Hello, this is Ed Cunningham, Chief Executive Officer at Crossroads Community Hospital. We are excited to invite you to join us as we present our $23 million gift to the community. That's right, we are ready to cut the ribbon to our beautiful new patient tower, and we want you to be a part of the celebration. Join us on Thursday, August 9th at 2 p.m. for the ribbon cutting and open house. The ceremony will be followed by a reception and tours. This is for you, and we hope to see many of you on August 9th. Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com. Glad to have you with us, of course, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
They are getting ready to have their grand opening for their new facility. Of course, you can hear about that throughout the broadcast here this morning. It is your Black Diamond Conference football preview, as we are just a few weeks away from the start of gameplay in high school football season. Practices get underway, I believe, on Wednesday, however. But we welcome back to the program. It's been a couple of weeks. Johnny Hollis of the Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn Red Devils. Coach Hollis, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good talking to you.
I have to ask you, because there's a different mindset when you're in June and July, even May, to come into the first week of August, practice getting ready to get underway. What is your mindset now? I mean, are you ready to get after it? I'd have to assume you are.
Yeah, our guys are, they're excited about getting the pads on and butting heads a little bit. We've been doing so many speed and agility drills and lifting weights, and I think they're kind of ready to even get at each other a little bit, not to mention another team. But anyway, yeah, we're excited. We get rolling Wednesday morning early, and so the guys are jacked up about it, and the coaches are too. We're ready to see some things happen. So anyway, it's been a good summer, but we're ready to get started. 3
years in a row making the playoffs in Class 3A. Nashville twice, Pre-Central loss on all three, but again, making the playoffs. A lot of talent has walked and been graduated the last 3 years in that program. Who are the players returning for the 2012 Red Devils this season?
I'll tell you what, we're pretty excited. We've got 15 seniors this year, which is the most we've had in a while, which meant we had a good junior class last year. And to be completely honest, last year we had so many injuries that a lot of our lower-level guys got some experience. So we feel like we're going to be in good shape as far as personnel. Some of the guys that we're looking to get a lot out of this year, of course, our quarterback, Trey Widges, he'll be a senior, and we're looking for big things from him. We've got James Watts from Woodlawn School that's going to really help us in skill areas. Derek Hood, he'll be a good halfback for us this year. And we can go on down the list. We've got some key returning linemen that are seniors in Eubanks and Gunnar Bailey, and Matt Louts will be a linebacker for us. Of course, everybody in the area knows about Justin Kulik. He'll be a D1 scout, or he's got that kind of potential. They're looking at him at tight end and defensive end. So anyway, we've got some talent if we can just harness it and head it in the right direction, I think we'll be okay.
When you look at your schedule, you open up at home with Johnston City, obviously always a tough matchup, a rivalry game. And you look down the list, only 4 road games. You have a big stretch. You go 3 out of 4 on the road from weeks 2 to 5, but then you have 3 home games out of 4 the end of the year. The Black Diamond Conference, to me, has been, and you've been around it long enough, to me, it used to be a 3-team horse race and everybody else, but it seems like the last couple of years the balance of the Black Diamond has really returned. Is that what you've seen in your time at SVWW?
Yeah, I mean, I think the playing field is leveled out tremendously. I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, there'd be 2 or 3 teams, like you're saying, that would pretty well dominate, and now it seems to me like every Friday night, I mean, you better be prepared. No matter who the coach is or what the team's record is, the talent level seems to be pretty leveled. I mean, the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, maybe the competition's been a little bit, or this conference has been a little bit down overall, but I think this year it's really on its way back up. I mean, with Carmi and Johnson City and then El Dorado, and the list just keeps going. And so we've got to really try to be competitive night in and a night out. There's no gimme games in our conference anymore.
When you look at the Black Diamond Conference, you mentioned it, Carmi defending champion, Johnston City right behind them. You guys are in the mix. You've been in the playoffs the last 3 years. We'll give you the first opportunity. Who do you think will be the favorite to win the Black Diamond Conference in 2012?
Well, I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 teams that have a legitimate shot. I think you could write their names in there. Johnson City, I think it will be good this year. They're returning some guys, and I mean, obviously, Carmi would have to probably be at the top of the list right now, just with what they did last year and the kids they're returning. So in El Dorado, they were hot last year and getting things. I mean, Christopher, who knows? And I would like to think that we'll be in the mix there. We're just looking to be competitive and to do the best that we can do with what we've got. So
I look back, and I want to backtrack a little bit back to the summer. You mentioned Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton. You had a little competition here a couple of weeks ago at the end of camp. Tell our listeners you had a competition, what that was about with Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton.
Yeah, back at the end of track season, me and their coach got together. We had known each other for a good while. We had seen him in the hallways at Sesser-Valier, actually, as he had subbed a little bit when he had moved here and before Christopher had hired him. So we know each other, and we're friends, and so anyway, we got together at the end of track season and kind of planned, or I kind of told him what I had in mind of, just kind of a vision of what it might look like. It was a 148 combine. Both of our schools are located right off 148, so that's kind of what we called it. We got our teams together, and we put them through a battery of different events, broad jump, long jump, medicine ball throw, 40-yard dash, and then we had a weight category where bench press, squat, and power clean. And we kind of got our kids together and just put some points on each event and had our teams go at it. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, there was a big crowd there, and I think we had around 100 athletes participating. So it went really well, and we're looking to do it again next year, just as kind of a thing to give the kids to shoot towards as they're working really hard in the summer. And it's kind of a renewing the rivalry event for us. Christopher's a big rival with us, and so anyway, and we've got a sign that we're going to pass back and forth, who wins the combine, and then whoever wins the regular season game, and just something to have a little bit of fun with it. So we're excited about the event. We got a lot of good feedback. You
move over, technically, I guess, or say you move over about 6 inches. You move over from the assistant coach to head coach. What has been the difference in transitioning into that job? Yeah, a couple guys have asked that lately. The time that I'm putting in is really not a whole lot more, other than it's just the business side of it, the administrative side of it, the paperwork side of it. It's all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that a guy really doesn't think about until he's got to get it all figured out, until he's got to get it all turned in and get some funds raised and things like that. So anyway, it does take a lot of work, it's a lot of X's and O's, but at the same time, I think a lot of guys and a lot of fans don't think about what all it takes to run a team. And so I knew a lot about that when I took it on, but I think it's worth it, and it's worth making an investment in the kids, even if sometimes some of the stuff that you don't want to do, it's just part of the job. So
anyway, we're excited about the opportunity, excited about our staff, and really excited about our kids and their attitude so far this year.
Last question. We always like to do this to people and ask a WMIX Sports question of the week. This week's question is, what sport have you enjoyed watching, or what sport are you looking forward to watching during this Summer Olympics?
I always really get into the track and field, and it started up yesterday. Of course, the main event there everybody wants to see is the 100-meter dash and 200-meter and those types of things. And I was a sprinter in high school and all that good stuff. So that kind of stuff really interests me, just to see the power and speed of those guys as they come down the track.
Excellent. Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us here today, and we look forward to talking with you after your Week 1 game against Johnston City.
All right, guys. Sure appreciate it.
That is Coach Johnny Hollis, Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn Red Devils. Of course, Black Diamond Conference football preview rolls on. We still have McLeansboro, Hamilton County to talk about here on the big show. Sesser-Valier coming off three straight playoff appearances under John Shadowins. Of course, very successful prior to that as well. A couple of quarterfinal appearances under Coach Babington, among others. So really a successful program there in SV.
Well, it's been a nice run. They've been in the playoffs multiple times. You look through 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The last 3 years, they played in 09, a classic against Nashville, lost home by 2. Went back to Nashville, got beat 30-12, and of course last year we did the game here on AM 940. Breeze Central beating Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn at Breeze Central. It's a team that has had a lot of success. 22 games in the playoffs over the years since 1980 when they first got into the playoffs, and again, it is one of those deals where Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn has a pipeline of talent coming from 3 schools, and to see that they're going to have about 70 kids out in the entire program. That's a huge number for Coach Hollis. Of course, he takes over for John Shadowins, who ran a good program as well, and who took over for Ross Babington. So it's kind of been passed down from place to place and person to person. But this program rolls on, and as long as you have these 3 schools feeding in, you get things going, it's a good deal. Now, as far as their schedule goes, they open up with Johnston City at home. That's going to be a dandy. That's going to tell a lot about Johnston City as well as the Red Devils. You go to Chester, and if anyone has been to Chester for a game, it's an unbelievable environment and atmosphere. It's a long bus ride. Tough place to go play. You got the Foxes coming in week 3 before you have a Saturday afternoon game at Vienna-Goreville. And anybody been at Vienna-Goreville, that's a different atmosphere down there. You and I went to that game last year at Johnston City. It's totally different atmosphere. And then, of course, Week 5, rivalry week in the Black Diamond Conference with CZR. At CZR, anything goes. But then they got 3 out of 4 home games in the last 4 weeks. Fairfield, Carmi, and ET at home, but then they go to El Dorado, which El Dorado has been a trouble spot and a bear of a spot for the Red Devils to go play at. So a favorable schedule. You got to get those things done early when you can. It's a tough run, but Sesser-Valier's got a schedule set up. They got Johnston City, Fairfield, and Carmi at home. That's where you're going to have to make a lot of your hay against some of those teams.
Well, and I think this year you kind of have respite in the fact that Fairfield comes to your place. You don't have to go to the train yard there in Fairfield. Historically, for Sesser-Valier, that has been a crucial game on the schedule year in and year out. For some reason, that seems to have always had an impact. And granted, every game has an impact, and whether or not you go to the postseason, but there's just something about that Fairfield SVWW game year in and year out, especially with the past few seasons. But, you take a look at the schedule up and down, and used to, and more conferences are becoming this way, yes, but used to be able to go out and with the Black Diamond pick who was going to win on any given night and be fairly close to accurate. I think, there was one upset, I think, in 2007 that might have wrinkled my BDC predictions for the entire year. But, outside of Week 5, you used to be able to go through and pick every week who was probably going to win a BDC game. And now we're starting to go away from that. There's a little bit more parity in the Black Diamond Conference, and running down the SV schedule again. Johnston City at home to open her up, but then that long road trip to Chester, which thankfully for SV, the road trip to Chester isn't as bad as it is for some of the schools further east. But Hamco at home, then you mentioned Vienna-Goreville on the road on a Saturday, and you talk about that atmosphere and how different it is. You're at the bottom of a pretty steep hill. On top of all that, you pretty well have one side of seating and very, very rowdy and rambunctious fans from Johnston County, and that is not an easy place to go play.
It's not an easy place. You got to go there, and you have to go to Chester, 2 tough places. And then Week 5, you go to CZR. That's a different atmosphere down there because, you never know what's going to happen in that rivalry game. I think what for them is that 3 home game stretch down the stretch out of 4 games in Week 6, 7, 8, and 9. that's going to be key for the Red Devils. A younger team. They've got some experience back with Trey Widges and whatnot, but a younger team that has seen a lot of playoff experience 3 straight years in a row. Very tough Black Diamond, not like it used to be where the top would float to the top and then the rest would be down there at the bottom. It's more balanced, and you're going to see games, like you said. It's a lot tougher to pick Black Diamond games anymore because used to be you could go through and pick the big 3 and pick those games and then go from there, but this is going to be a very difficult 2012 in the Black Diamond just because of the balance.
And I'd love to tell you that Sesser-Valier-Woodlawn, Waltonville-Woodlawn, however, I'd love to tell you that they're going to go 6-3 or 5-4 or 9-0 and give you a prediction. BDC is going to be too close to call in many instances. But however, if you want to give us your prediction, feel free. You can tweet us at WMIX Sports. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports, if you want to give your thoughts, where we also have the WMIX Sports Question of the Week, which we will run down one more time.
Well, it is, what sport have you enjoyed watching or are looking forward to watching during the Summer Olympics?
There you have it. We have Mark Beitler of Hamilton County coming up. Some of you might still prefer to say McLeansboro. So whichever you prefer as far as the nomenclature, that is what we'll run with. However, Hamilton County, a program that has not made the postseason since 2006-2007. They made a 2 straight run there with Coach Jeff Rush. He is now no longer the coach. Mark Beitler replaces him starting this year. We'll have him on the program after the break. This is the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
They lean on one another. They make contact. Smoke is boiling between Bush and Johnson as the leaders clear the tunnel turn.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday with the Pennsylvania 400 from Pocono Raceway. Hear it live at 11 a.m. on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR. And for ticket information, go to motorracingnetwork.com.
Southern Illinois' FM home for the MRN is Q106.3.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I've been a nurse with Good Samaritan for many, many years. One of the best things about my job is knowing that I work for a hospital that cares so much about the community. We're dedicated to attracting the best physicians and investing in the most advanced medical technologies. Whether it's radiology, oncology, or advanced heart care, we provide some of the nation's most advanced treatment options right here in Southern Illinois. That way patients never have to travel far from their families to receive the care they need. I'm always happy when families come visit, and starting in 2013, that sort of thing will happen even more. That's when Good Samaritan opens our all-new Regional Health Center. Everything about the new center has been designed with patients in mind. It features all private rooms and family-friendly areas that make it easier for visitors to stay overnight. I can't wait to see what Good Samaritan does with this exciting new facility.
Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
More Americans are on the move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com. Glad to have you with us, of course, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski, Jeff Crow in studio with us as well, WMIX. And, of course, don't forget, you can always listen online at MyWithersRadio.com. And starting with today's program, you'll be able to find this archived broadcast on MyWithersRadio.com as well. Proud to welcome to the program for the first time the new head coach of the Hamilton County Foxes, Mark Beitler. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing pretty good, and I have to imagine, obviously, you're doing very well taking over the Foxes football program beginning this year. Tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, obviously, so we can get familiar with each other. How did you end up in McLeansboro?
Well, my wife's from Mount Vernon, and I lived in Mount Vernon and coached there for a few years, and then I'm originally from Ohio. We moved back there. We were there for 7 years and had an opportunity to come back to Southern Illinois, and that's kind of how I got hooked up with Hamilton County.
You could mention that you coach in Ohio. It's a little different in Ohio with high school football rather than Illinois. Talk about some of the differences you've encountered in dealing with Illinois football rules and then compared to the Ohio football rules.
One of the biggest differences is two-a-days. In Ohio, they have 3 weeks of two-a-days, and they don't have as many camp days in June and July. but they have a little more. They have more two-a-days, and they have a couple scrimmages built in there too.
You come to Hamilton County, a team that was under the tutelage of Jeff Rush for the past 8 years, a couple of playoff berths in that run. However, last year the Foxes were a record of 3-6. What have you seen, and how has your summer gone with your football team?
I've seen some kids that are willing to work hard, and they're good kids, and they do what we ask them to do.
Your football team, Hamilton County, of course, opens up at Fairfield. How familiar are you? Obviously, you're from Southern Illinois, but I should say no Southern Illinois. How familiar are you with the teams on your schedule as far as rivalries and games go?
I'm not as familiar, as some of the people that are from here, but I'm starting to watch a little bit of film from last year and become acquainted with some of the teams we're going to play.
And the Foxes, of course, open up at Fairfield on the 24th in a rivalry week game at El Dorado. You mentioned about getting familiar. Is there a team that stands out to you possibly as being a favorite to win this year?
I'm not really sure at this point. I'm still kind of getting myself familiar with the teams in the conference.
And speaking of the conference, the Black Diamond has a closed conference schedule. And coming into that type of scheduling, do you feel that is a benefit or a detriment when trying to get to know your teams? Obviously, you have that familiarity from year to year, knowing that you're going to play the same teams year after year, but is that something you like, or would you rather be able to pick and choose outside of your conference?
Well, this is the first time that I've been coaching in a conference that's closed, so I'm not really sure, but I kind of look at it as, something that's unique, and it's something that I think is going to be a benefit down the road, especially as I get more familiar with the teams that we're going to be playing.
In Ohio, when you were coaching, what size of school were you coaching compared to the enrollment for Hamilton County?
The school that I was at the last 3 years has 2,000 kids.
Wow. And dropping into I got to ask this, because you always hear about football states, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania. How crazy and rabid are football fans in the state of Ohio as far as high school football goes?
They get pretty crazy sometimes. The way I look at it is football. The game, the game itself doesn't change from place to place. The fans get a little more excited up there, but I try to just focus on the actual game and preparing myself for upcoming opponents.
Being familiar with your players in the summer, talk about and tell some of our listeners the players that you're going to have coming back for your team in 2012.
Well, we got a couple kids. Like I said, I'm still getting familiar with everybody. Bailey Gay I think is going to be a pretty good running back. There's Levi Leakey in there at probably maybe at a receiver, and use him at a couple different places defensively. But like I said, I'm still trying to sort all that stuff out.
In a transition like this, when you've been around coaching and football long enough, when you're following in with somebody, your terminology is different than another guy's or vice versa. How's that transition been with your kids learning a new system under you?
I think it's gone pretty well. Like I said, the kids are working hard, and they're really receptive to the changes that are occurring, and I haven't seen any issues, so far.
As far as we continue to talk about this transition, how about some of your coaching staff? Have you been able to retain some of Coach Rush's assistants? Has been able to help you through this transition and get to know Fox's football a little bit better?
There's one guy that I was able to retain, and then there's a couple new faces, but there's one from Coach Rush's staff that's still there.
Sure. And have you been able to lean on maybe any past coaches that are still around in the area? I know Wade Thomas is still in the area. He had the helm of Fox's football for a while. I believe there's still plenty of wine millers rolling around the area there in Hamco. Have you been able to maybe pick some of those brains and get a feel for the community and some of the kids, or has that been an option?
Not yet. I haven't done that yet, but that's something that's certainly that I'm going to work on.
As you look into the practice on Wednesday, you're used to 2 days in the setup. I'm not sure when Hamilton County opens up for school. What are your without giving any big trade secrets, obviously, but what are your plans for as far as practices go, trying to adjust and getting time in before school starts?
Well, one thing, obviously, we're going to go through 2 days, and we're going to. My biggest thing is that we use our time efficiently, and we practice fast and we practice hard.
Last question we ask, and we always do this for our WMIX Sports. You'll get used to this as you'll be on our program in future times. We always ask if you're a question of something off the wall, off topic. This week's question is, what sport have you enjoyed watching or are looking forward to watching in the Summer Olympics?
Well, I like watching the track and field. You know, I ran track in high school, and I coached track for a year at Mount Vernon. So I really like watching those athletes perform. When
you were at Mount Vernon, who did you work under football-wise?
Dan Mings.
Okay, we got to ask, did you learn, because we're pretty good tight with Coach Mings, did you learn anything from Dan Mings?
I learned a lot from Dan Mings. One of the biggest things I learned from him is he was very good at understanding how his players best fit in a system and not, asking the players to do something that they're not capable of doing.
It's a very valuable lesson to learn from a very valuable individual. Coach Beitler, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today for our Black Diamond Conference preview, and we look forward, especially as we get into the season, you are able to learn a little bit more about your team. We look forward to having you back on.
That'd be great.
Sounds good, Coach. Good luck to the Foxes in 2012.
Thank you.
That is Coach Mark Beitler. Just took the helm of the Hamilton County Foxes. I'll get into trouble if some of our favorite listeners are listening. McLeansboro Foxes, if you will.
Right.
But that said, that is one of those programs, DC, and my first broadcast was a Foxes football game against Red Hill in 06 there in Lawrence County. So there's no denying the tradition that could be. Obviously, a very basketball-heavy town. You take a look at some of the coaches they've had in the past that have come close. I know Coach Weinmiller was able to get them into the postseason a couple of times. Wade Thomas, if he could have played, if his teams could have played in the 8-class system, would have come oh so close. Coach Grubb, I know, and then Coach Rush got him in a couple of times, and it's just going to be patience. I know Coach Rush had a few 4 and 5 years after the 2 straight playoff run, and then 3 and 6, 1 and 8. But if you can get that program turned around there in McLeansboro, there's no reason to think that they couldn't make a nice little 2A postseason run.
There's some athletes, obviously. Hamilton County, a lot of success over the years. Obviously, first comes to mind is basketball. And you throw in the fact that they've had some success in golf, football, and whatever, baseball especially. It's a program that's there. New school, or improved facilities, track as well. And you look at Hamilton County, and you feel like there's something to be done. Jeff Rush was there 8 years. Hard to believe he was there 8 years. Another veteran that you look at. And I go through a list. So, and you look at teams, you got Simon, I'll name some coaches who have been in the South 7, or the Black Diamond, I should say. Simon, who's still at Carmi, he's up next. Dennis Roth at Chester, not there. John Kretz at Christopher. You throw in the fact you have Townsend at Fairfield, who's been there a while. Mike Rude was at Johnson City, now at Vienna. Jeff Rush is Hamilton County. John Shadowin's at Sesser-Valier-Waltonville. You've had a lot of veteran coaches in that conference last 4 or 5 years that have changed hands. Hamilton County now being one of those, one of 3 schools in the conference with a new coach. Changing over transition-wise, see what happens. This Hamilton County team, opens up at Fairfield. You can guarantee you that just like it has been in the past in Week 9 with that game, Hamilton County Fairfield is going to be a battle. It's almost a rivalry. They're in conferences. They play the same things. And then you throw around, and you got Vienna, Goreville, Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn. Tough conference, tough run. They've got 4 or 5 road games this year. It's going to be a tough climb here. But last year, 1 and 8. See if they can improve.
Well, and here's the thing I like about a guy like Coach Beitler coming into McLeansboro is the fact that you have Jeff Rush, who came in from West Frankfort, so very familiar with the area, very familiar with the program, very familiar with all the coaches then in the conference. With Coach Beitler, you get a guy relatively unknown to the area in terms of local high school football. Does have some ties, obviously, with Coach Mings, having assisted him for 3 years. But you run into that, and that's really his only familiarity. As far as we know, anyway. But then you run into the rest of the conference, and it might be something where the less you know, the better once you get in, because we've seen what familiarity can sometimes do. It can be good or it can be bad, and sometimes it leads down that negative road where it doesn't yield the results that you feel should be there. So this certainly seems like a great opportunity for Mark Beitler and a great opportunity for Hamilton County to get themselves back on the postseason football map.
It's going to be a run. I mean, Hamilton County's been one of those teams that's kind of been in the middle pack for many years. A couple playoff berths in 05 and 06 and 2A, 3A, but one of those things where it's going to be tough and to turn it around because you got the likes of Carmi and Johnston City and Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn tough gig, but Mark Beitler under the tutelage of Dan Mings learned a lot, and I expect to see with his experience of coaching in Ohio, the bigger school coming to Hamilton County, that's got to be huge. I mean, you're talking about coaching kids of 2,000 kids in a high school, and you're coming into a school of 355.
You're talking upper level to Southwestern Conference as far as the size of school. O'Fallon, Belleville West, Belleville East. You know, that size coming down to the Black Diamond, where his team, if they were to make the postseason, would more than likely be a 2A school. But you come in here, the Black Diamond, going to be a lot of parity this year, and they get underway. And when you're talking about Hamilton County, you're talking about a school where darn near every game is a local rivalry. You're not that far from Fairfield. Carmi, if not for El Dorado, could be your geographical rival in Week 5. So could Fairfield, if not for Carmi and El Dorado. It's just one of those things where this has the opportunity to be a great job. And, you know, you look at the pride that is there in McLeansboro, not just in basketball, but in every single sport, because you can take the kid out of Hamilton County. You can't take the Hamilton County out of the kid, as we have learned from getting to know some Fox's alumni. That said, we do need to take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show. We will talk to a very successful head coach from Carmi-White County, Kurt Simon, talk about his team last year running the table in the conference. We'll see how he feels about his team in 2012. Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We will be back after these.
It happens every summer. You need a great quality vehicle, and that's where Second Chance Auto comes in. Family owned for the past 32 years, Second Chance Auto has been the cure for summer new car fever. No one has a better selection of vehicles priced under $10,000. Almost all their vehicles come with a generous 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. There are no dock fees, no shipping fees, and no processing fees like those new car dealerships. Just low prices. Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582. Second Chance Auto.
Save thousands of dollars on your education at Ren Lake College. RLC offers over 100 degree and certificate programs allowing you to get to work or transfer to a 4-year university. The fall semester is quickly approaching, but there's still time to enroll with walk-in registration through Friday, August 17th. RLC's trained counselors will help with registration and scheduling. Classes are conveniently located on campus and in-district locations near you. For more information, log on to rlc.edu or contact Ren Lake College's academic counselors at 437-5321, extension 1266.
Hi, this is Debbie Richardson, Marketing Director at Crossroads Community Hospital. We would like to invite you to join us on Thursday, August 9th for our ribbon cutting and celebration as we present our $23 million gift to the community. Our beautiful new building will quickly become an iconic symbol in the area as the towers light the night sky. We will continue to strive to become the healthcare provider of choice for Jefferson County and the surrounding area. Please join us on Thursday, August 9th at 2 p.m. for the ceremony, reception, and tours. Crossroads Community Hospital, it's more than a hospital, it's what healthcare should be.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com. Regardless of how you may access us, thank you for tuning in this morning as we begin our first of 3 football previews this week. It's the BDC. We've already talked the Red Devils football with Johnny Hollis. We've talked Fox's football, Hamilton County, of course, with Mark Beitler. And we are very apt and looking forward to talking Carmi-White County Bulldog football with Coach Kurt Simon. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski. Jeff Crow is in studio as well. And we welcome now to the program Kurt Simon. Coach Simon, good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
You know what? You're coming off an astonishing season, 9-0 in the Black Diamond Conference, a postseason appearance as well. Close game with Carlisle in that first week of the postseason. Did you lose a lot off of that team last year? I mean, was it a senior-laden team, or do you return some of that stellar talent from a year ago?
Well, we lost some good players. There's no question about that. But traditionally, year in and year out, we're not a program that has a bunch of a lot of big numbers in it. So, but our numbers that we do have are normally pretty quality kids. And as we all know, this game is a senior-run game, and we had some good ones last year, so they'll definitely be missed. But by the same token, we had a really good supporting cast of younger kids last year, and they're all coming back, and they're working real hard this summer, and we're looking forward to it.
Kurt, this is Danny Zerwinski. I got to ask, have you really been at Carmi 16 years?
This will be my 16th, yeah.
Isn't that you're the dean of the Black Diamond Conference, because when you look around, we were talking about this before the break of, you had Dennis Roth, John Kretz, John Shadowins, Jeff Rush. You and Justin Townsend. You look around and go, I'm the one that's been here the longest. Do you think, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's really amazing how time flies. I mean, my
my kids got one in 8th grade now, and another one going into 3rd. And when I came here, I didn't have any kids, and I think it's a testimony to Carmi. It's a great place to raise kids, and it's a good school system. The kids here are overall very disciplined and hardworking, and I'm really proud of where I come from.
I want to when I look back at Carmi, and I remember this. I remember this going on. In your first few seasons, the first 2 times you went to the playoffs, you were Class 4A, and I know there was a co-op involved, I believe, with NCOE. But you started. You've one of the few schools, I think, that probably can say, "Hey, we've been to the playoffs 3 different classes, 2, 3, and 4A." Has that been a good evolution for the program to kind of go from there, or is that a proud feather to put in your cap? Say, "Hey, look what we've done."
It's just one of those things where I guess, as the saying goes, it is what it is. And when I first came here, it'd been quite a long time since they had seen the playoffs, and really they'd only been in the playoffs once. So when they said something about a co-op, I was kind of up with any, win a few games and try to get up. Well, then a couple of years after, to the playoffs, and went up against 2 former state champions for the next year, and we weren't getting like any players from North City. We had some working very well to drop the co-op, and then of course the things have transpired, and then we went to 8 classes, and now it's really shrunk a lot.
Let's talk. Go ahead. Let's.
Coach, we're going to actually try to reconnect with you. You're dropping it out on a cell phone. We're going to try to reconnect with Coach Simon. In the meantime, though, of course, we remember Coach Simon from the early 90s in Centralia. Had a 14-22 mark there, which in that time was actually a pretty good record to have in Centralia. Of course, things have been turned around there since then, but he's been at Carmi-White County ever since, as we try to reconnect with Coach Simon here on the Saturday Sports Show and continue talking about the Carmi-White County Bulldogs. Cell phones are a great thing until you can't get any connection.
Well, cell phones work in a couple different places, and that happens. It's live radio. You got to go with the flow. You got to see what's going on. And
that's why we're able to fill.
That's right. Carmi is one of those teams, I remember they started out playing like Chatham-Glenwood and others in Class 4A the first couple of years, and then they've dropped down to 2A in the 8-class system. 9-1 last year, lost to Carlisle in an opening round game at Carmi, lost at home, and they're 9-0. Kurt Simon has been very good. They've had a run of athletes over there at Carmi. They always seem to have more of a system rather than athletes. I think that's huge when you talk about Kurt Simon.
Well, especially when you think about some of the epic battles with Carterville there in the early to mid part of the last decade. And you think, I think it was 05-06 where they had some really very epic battles. But we have Kurt Simon back on the program, we think. Coach Simon, glad to have you back. And I believe we were talking about the system that you'd put in place and being a part of postseason action in 3 classes. And I believe we were talking about the co-op with NCOE and what led to that being dissolved.
We ended right about the co-op with North City. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so.
Okay, well, we're just saying, we did that for 4 years when we initially got here, and we weren't getting any players, to be honest with you, from it. So it was a pretty easy decision after that second year, or actually the second year of 4 years. You do it in 2-year increments or whatever, that we were going to get rid of it. And so we did, and of course, now we're in 2A, pretty solid 2A.
Speaking of you changing going on, and you've been, and as another thing, you've been there this your 16th year. When you look at this conference, for many years it was the Carmi-Carterville-Johnston City show with everybody else in the bottom. Does it seem to you like it does me in the last 3 or 4 years that the conference has kind of evolved into a more balanced conference where every week you've got to be at your best to win, where you don't have any weeks off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's no question about that. We've had some different conference champions over the last few years. Really, you can almost, I don't know if there is an upper echelon, so to speak. I think the upper echelon consists of about 6 teams probably that you would consider every year have a chance to be the conference champion. So, yeah, like everybody else, ditto what everyone has said, you've got to come every week ready to go, because that's just that's the way the conference has evolved over the past 7 or 8 years, and that's a good thing. That's exactly what all of us coaches want. We want a good competitive league that everyone's got a chance to, be successful. And so as far as that goes, we're real happy with the Black Diamond Conference and the, all the teams in it and where they've come from.
Going from the NEC to the BDC, and you being the athletic director is kind of off topic, including football, how has the fit been for the Carmi High School and the Black Diamond Conference?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, the obvious one from a football standpoint is a 10-team conference. And that's just strictly speaking from a football standpoint because you got all your games and you don't have to worry about finding non-conference. There's some drawbacks to that, but overall that's a good thing. All your lower level games are taken care of, and obviously your varsity schedule is. With all the other sports, it was really an easy transition. I think also in general, the NEC, which I was involved with for a few years, but the Black Diamond Conference kind of connected. We feel like it kind of connected us to what Southern Illinois is. You got your hub down there in Marion and Carterville and all that stuff, and we just seemed like us and Fairfield are so far to the northeast that sometimes you couldn't watch Channel 3 and see highlights from our games. And that was another thing that was we felt like that was a positive thing for us, where it kind of drew us into that whole thing there.
You look at this season, your team opens up with a game against El Dorado, a team that's been a playoff power and been in the playoffs with Brandon Hampton at the helm, before you go to Johnston City and then host Chester. That's not a real easy start to the season, is it?
I don't know how that's always happened to me. It seems like every time we draw out of a hat to come up with a schedule, our schedule has consistently been like that since I got in the conference. I mean, since we joined, we were playing Carterville in week 1 years ago. But that's the way it came out, and we do believe that, our schedule, you better have a great summer, you better have a very good, 2 or 3 days, whatever you want to call it, working up, because you got to be ready to go.
Coach, we got one final question for you, and as you're joining us now and join us in the future, we'll ask this question. We always ask once a week, kind of pertains to just about anything. This week's question is, what sport have you enjoyed watching, or what sport are you looking forward to watching during this Summer Olympics?
Oh, I think I got to ditto what everyone has talked about. I think track and field is something that we all like to watch the athletes in that. But I also like watching the gymnastics. I'm pretty amazed on how high those kids can jump and all the things, all the twirling and stuff they can do. Pretty impressive.
It's always interesting. All the football coaches are track and field because track and field goes with football so well. I mean, it's one of those that builds off each other, those two sports.
Absolutely.
Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. I've been a fan of yours since you were at Centralia in the early to mid 90s, and good luck to the Bulldogs this year, and we look forward to having you on again.
Appreciate it a bunch, guys. Good to be talking football again.
Always a pleasure. And, of course, it's August, which means it is time to talk football. First of 3 previews for you, conference previews here on the Saturday Sports Show. Black Diamond Conference this week, although we have a little bit of an NEC feel to it, of course, with Carmi-White County and Fairfield. And, this is a story I like to recant often, and I know some of our listeners who have been listening for a long time probably very, very exhausted with regard to hearing about it. But Centralia Mount Vernon, of course, founding members of the North Egypt Conference, and Carmi came along in the 50s, I believe, as Carmi Township High School. But NEC was originally Centralia, Olney, Fairfield, Flora, Lawrenceville, Mount Carmel, Mount Vernon, Red Hill, and Salem, allegedly, according to history that I've been able to research. Mount Vernon Centralia left, of course, in 1938 to form the South 7, which is not all of the current teams, but the old South 7, as I like to call it, the 8 minus Carbondale, I think, are the original South 7. So there you go, a little bit of history for you. But it's good to have Kurt Simon on the program because Carmi-White County, you show them respect down here, but I don't think in terms of maybe the past, and we'll go to the past 16 years since that's how long he's been there. He's built that tradition. I don't think it's a school that statewide gets looked at a lot, especially if you were to go back over the past 20 years as far as getting a lot of respect.
I think they don't get that respect because of the geographic location. I mean,
Sure.
they're closer to Evansville than they are us. So Evansville picks up a lot of it and Indiana stuff. And like you said, until they got in the Black Diamond, they were kind of on that periphery up there, and you heard about them, you saw about them. They did these great things. Mid-'70s, Carmi-White was a golf dynasty, state championships left and right. Fairfield had trips in basketball, 93 to the state tournament, the Assembly Hall in Champaign. You had those two schools kind of in the periphery, and when NEC started wobbling and shaking, they got out and joined El Dorado in Hamilton County and came into the Black Diamond. So Carmi has been one of those schools that has been good in athletics all the way around. Sure. They've had a lot of baseball history of going to the state tournament. They've been basketball. The last time they were there in basketball was Elite Eight. They lost in overtime the first game to what was then going to be Plano SIU grad Brad Korn under Brad Lee. Then you had, the golf has been good. That whole school has been very good for many, many years. You add in the fact that Crossville moved into that program with the merging of the schools over there into one county. That's when that really success took off. And Kurt Simon, Jared Newell, and others coaching over there, and Coach Winters in baseball, it has really evolved into something huge, as that program has been very, very good over the years.
Well, and the trophies in softball, we can't forget about that as well. They have a pretty good softball program over there. We've been able to see it a time or two by covering Lady Rams softball here on WMIX. If you'd like to stay up to date, of course, on Fox's football, you can catch every game of McLeansboro Fox's football on our sister station, Wish FM 98.9. And then, of course, for Coach Simon and his Carmi-White County Bulldogs, you can conveniently catch every game on the Tri-State Boomer, also our sister station, WRUL 97.3 FM, and WRUL.com. Of course, we near the top of the hour here on the Saturday Sports Show. We remind you, Crossroads Community Hospital will be having their ribbon cutting on Thursday at 2 o'clock, Thursday, August the 9th. I believe that's this coming Thursday.
Yes, this Thursday.
Wow. Yep. That means I have a date at a local high school to check on some things, from phone lines to internet to video angles. So before you know it, coverage is going to be here, and before you know it, it's going to be a lot more than a hospital. It is what healthcare should be, of course, at Crossroads Community Hospital. We're going to do it the right way this time, however, as we go to break. Saturday Sports Show again, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We'll have Josh McCurren, CZR, coming up after the break.
How about a new vehicle that combines luxury with innovation? That's the recipe for the 2012 Lincoln MKZ and MKX. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Lincoln dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. Add 10-way power driver and passenger front seat and the voice-activated Lincoln Sync system, and the 2012 Lincoln MKZ becomes the definition of a state-of-the-art luxury vehicle. Or maybe you're looking to spice it up with luxury and sport. The 2012 Lincoln MKX crossover gets up and goes with 305 horsepower in its Durotech V6 engine. You can't beat that. In fact, my wife Nancy absolutely loves her MKX, and I don't know how I lived without the MKZ. We love being a Lincoln couple. You can love a Lincoln MKX as well with up to $4,000 off MSRP and $5,400 off MSRP on an MKZ. Stop by and see us at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, 1501 Broadway, or see for yourself at FordSquare.com and Facebook.
Broadcasting from the powerhouse on Broadway, today's Hot Country, WMIX, Mount Vernon, and all of Southern Illinois. Another Withers Broadcasting station.
Just about everyone is trying to save money these days, especially when it comes to drugs and pharmaceutical products. Did you know the medicine shop can, and in many cases, offer better prices than the big discount stores?
People need to know that independent pharmacy, in almost every case, is able to offer the same or better pricing than the chains can offer.
Remember, your insurance price and copay is the same wherever you go. For cost savings and great service, try the Medicine Shop, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
If your definition of local is Southern Illinois and adjacent states, pay no attention to this message. Hi, I'm Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Others advertise the message of being a local community bank. However, Community First Bank is the only local community bank exclusively serving Jefferson County with 5 locations and 5 ATMs. In short, loans and deposits stay local and benefit you.
Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show. Glad to have you back for a second hour here on WMIX and MyWithersRadio.com. You can stay up to date with us all season long, all year long, on Twitter at WMIX Sports. I believe we're over 15,000 tweets now.
we're at 15.2 as we roll.
In less than a year. That's not too shabby. It's a lot of retweets in there, too, as well. But a lot of fresh content coming straight from the minds of WMIX Sports. Of course, you can find us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
CZR Bearcats head coach Josh McCurren in his second year joins us now on the Saturday Sports Show. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, you guys. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Getting ready to talk some Bearcat football, of course. The Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton co-op in its umpteenth year now. Been going for quite a while now. But you're in your second season. I believe a 3-6 go at it last year, if I'm not mistaken, which I thought was pretty remarkable under the circumstances. Taking over for Coach Nick Batts, who had taken over, of course, for Coach John Kretz. And things seem to be looking like they're gathering momentum there in Franklin County.
Yeah, last year we felt was a success. We did a good job of trying to build a new attitude and create an exciting atmosphere for the kids, and they bought into the system, and it showed all through the year. We started off not very competitive in our first game, but as the year began, we became very competitive in every game, and that's just kind of what's going into this year as well. We're trying to take everything we had from last year and build on it. The kids know the system now, and that's what we're doing for this year. They came into camps, they worked very hard in the summer, and we're very excited for coming back this season and being competitive again.
Your team, and you mentioned, I think this is a very good point about 2011, is your team started out 0-3, but then that 6-point loss to JC in Week 3 really, I probably think, built your team confidence up. 1-3 in a row, then a tough way to finish down the stretch, but I think that's the key in your season last year was the confidence was built in that one loss and then the 3 wins in a row. Taking that into the summer, have you and your coaching staff brought up those things from 2011, or it's just everybody knows what it is and you guys are moving on, getting ready for 2012?
I think the biggest thing we brought up is just we talk about how we have to be competitive each game and everything, and we kind of bring up, last year we were competitive with these schools. We understand that the Black Diamond Conference from top to bottom is going to be so tough this year. There's a lot of good teams and good coaches, and so we kind of, we don't like to dwell in the past because we had some great seniors last year and they're all gone. So we're really putting all our stock into our seniors this year, and we have a lot of good juniors coming in as well. And we're just kind of using that as a kind of a foundation. As yes, last year was a good turning point, but that was last year. This is this season. This is 2012, and we're believing in you guys now. So let's take what the seniors left us for a foundation on restarting this program, and let's build on it. And now you guys, it's your turn to do that.
It's my opinion that the Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton co-op is probably one of the best done as far as around the area, and how longest running, obviously, but one of the best done. You're involved with working with 2 schools as your neighbor to the north, Johnny Hollis at Sesser-Valier. What things do you do as far as a coach and a coaching staff to get kids and interested in the football program from ZR and Christopher?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that you have to do is you just have to make your face available to the kids. This past season, in the off season, I was able to be down in Zeigler-Royalton High School quite a bit, and I was able to talk to some of the kids, let them, see my face, generally, talk to them about other things besides football, because my philosophy is if you just hammer a kid about football, then, he's going to think, well, I'm not going to play football, and I'm generally interested in what the kids do, how their grades are, how they're doing with other things, and that's just what I'm trying to build there, is just that excitement. I'm trying to explain to the community that it's not just Christopher Bearcat football, it's Christopher-Zeigler-Royalton football. We're a co-op for a reason. And, in the past years, in the late 90s, mid-90s, when this co-op was very successful going to the playoffs, I think they went 10-1 one year, half of the starters on both sides of the ball were from Zeigler-Royalton. And we have to get back to that. We need Zeigler-Royalton and the Christopher kids. We have to have all those kids on board to be successful. And I think we're slowly doing that. It's just creating excitement in the community, getting that trust back with all the communities combined. Those are the things we have to do, have fundraisers, and just show my face a little bit more, show my face a little bit more, and let them know that, we're here for them.
Coach, if I've done my pre-show prep correctly, I understand you spent a few years as an assistant for the Quincy Blue Devils. Quincy, a community where they take every single sport very, very, very seriously and have a lot of principles that lead them to success. Have you used any of those philosophies during your time at CZR?
Absolutely. When I left Quincy, I was under a head coach named Rick Little, and he does a great job of. He basically rebuilt that whole Quincy program, and they hadn't been successful in football for several years. And since he's taken over and everything, they've turned it around. They've been to the playoffs 2 years out of the last 3. And I'm trying to use those principles and taking my information, what I want to do, combine it with some of the stuff that he has taught me. And, I feel very comfortable with what's going on with trying to turn this program around. It's just, it's been going well so far, and I'm getting tons of support from parents, administration, my athletic director, and, the kids are having fun, and that's the most important thing.
Looking to 2012, and the fun begins on Wednesday with the first practice. You have, obviously, on the 24th, open up with Alvarado Trico, but a unique thing on your schedule, you have a couple of day games, one at noon at home against Hamilton County, and then the next week you go to Vienna-Gourville. What are your thoughts on playing afternoon day games on a regular season schedule?
I personally like it. I think the community gives the kids a kind of a great experience, a great atmosphere on what the kids at the next level play, the collegiate at the collegiate level. I kind of, whenever I give them my pregame talks, I'm saying, fellas, we're playing with the big boys today. When you guys are out here, the Oklahomans, the Floridas, they're all playing the same day as you. That's kind of special. Take that to heart. And it's going to help us this year. Last year we only had one game on a Saturday, and of course it was against Vienna for homecoming. Well, Vienna plays 4 or 5 games on Saturdays all through the season, and I think they were used to that. We were not used to the daytime game. I think it threw us off. Our bodies weren't used to it. So with us being able to play Hamilton County the week before for our homecoming, getting accustomed to everything, with our bodies, our minds, and everything, and just the feel of it, and then going to Vienna the next week and playing another Saturday game, I think that's going to help us out a lot. I think it's going to prepare us more, and hopefully everything will turn out right, and we'll play as competitive as we can and try to get a win.
Talk about the kids that you're going to be relying on this 2012 football season.
Well, the number one kid we have coming back is a quarterback for us. This is going to be his 3rd year starting, Tyler Atkinson. He's a senior. He's a very, very smart kid, very hard-nosed kid, and we're going to be relying on him on running our offense from the quarterback position as well as playing a lot of defense for us. We also have another running back coming back named Tony Hodge, who didn't carry the ball a lot last year, but he is by far our fastest kid. He runs about 4.7 40. He's going to be looking to take the burden of carrying a load this year. Last year we had a great senior in Scott Marchetti who carried the load for us with carries. We'll be looking at Tony Hodge to probably take over the load of those carries as well. And then we got several kids on the offensive line who are coming back that they're going to be the key. Definitely the key, because if they can't open the holes, if they can't push that defensive line around, then nothing else matters. But as a whole, we're just going to look to take advantage of our speed a little bit more this year, and I'm looking for a couple of those senior leaders to lead the way.
Speaking of 2012 Black Diamond going on here in a couple of weeks, who do you see as a favorite to win the Black Diamond Conference in 2012?
Well, I would have to say, if I had to pick a favorite, I would definitely have to pick Johnston City. Coach Mings has those guys doing a great job last year, and I know how people have talked about us being competitive and how we improved through the course of the season, but Johnston City, they improved since they're for the whole season. I mean, they came out and they, after we played them, and then from the end of the season, they were a totally different team. I think Coach Mings finally got the kids wanted in the places they needed to, and that panned out well for them, and they were definitely a force at the end of the season. And he's got a lot of those good kids coming back. And so I would pick them as a favorite. from then on, it is very competitive. I mean, I think the whole conference is competitive. There's a couple schools, like Sesser-Valier has Coach Hollis there now. He is turning that program. I mean, they've always had a good program. He's just creating a lot of new excitement. Got a lot more kids out. They're going to be very competitive. El Dorado, obviously. Chester played lots of sophomores and juniors last year. They're going to be much improved this year. And I could go on and on about every single school, but I know week in, week out that when we go, we have to be prepared, and we have to be ready for 48 minutes of pure football, because that's what everybody else is going to bring to us.
Coach, our MO here is to always try to wrap our interview with kind of a question that's going to catch you off guard, whether it be pop culture or just general sports. This week's WMIX Sports question is, which sport have you enjoyed watching, or which sport are you looking forward to watching during these Summer Olympics?
The Summer Olympics. Probably the most that I've watched has been the basketball, and I enjoy watching that. I know I realize that really there's not much defense, but they're stepping it up a little bit. So that's been pretty good. Other than that, the track and field is always good. I haven't been able to just sit down and watch the Olympics. I'll be honest with you, very much, but. The track and field is something I've always enjoyed in the past, because that's where you kind of see, how fast these men really are and women. And just kind of keep, you can think about, well, I remember I was in high school and I had a kid here on track who's pretty fast. Or I remember this kid from watching coach track this spring, and then you realize when you look at those people and how fast and how dedicated they are. And that's something you can always maybe turn into a pregame speech or a summer speech, just wrapping it up and during practice when things are tough, and we can kind of give those kids this confidence and saying, hey, this kid came from here and look where he's at now. So you guys can do that as well. Just be positive and good things will happen. So I would say those two right there, and Summer Olympics is always fun to watch.
Yes, it is. And, Coach, good luck to your Bearcats this season in 2012. We look forward to having you get on again sometime soon.
Well, I should appreciate you guys calling and having me on. It's been great, and I know you guys do great for Southern Illinois, and it's always good to talk to you guys. So thank you very much, and you guys have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Of course, that is CZR Bearcats head coach Josh McCurren, of course, and he took over last year for the Bearcats, went 3-6, and they look forward to an auspicious start in 2012. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Fairfield Mules in this Black Diamond Conference football preview. Don't forget, next week it'll be the River to River, and the week following it'll be South 7+ here on the Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Hello, this is Ed Cunningham, Chief Executive Officer at Crossroads Community Hospital. We are excited to invite you to join us as we present our $23 million gift to the community. That's right, we are ready to cut the ribbon to our beautiful new patient tower, and we want you to be a part of the celebration. Join us on Thursday, August 9th at 2 p.m. for the ribbon cutting and open house. The ceremony will be followed by a reception and tours. This is for you, and we hope to see many of you on August 9th. Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac in Centralia.
The Cadillac customers expect the best, and they've worked hard for what they got and where they've gotten in life, and they want to ride in the best luxury vehicle on the market, and that's Cadillac. And we feel like we have to keep up with the Cadillac expectations, and that's why we're investing so much money into our facility to make their buying experience and their service experience the best that it can be.
Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac, 1421 West McCord in Centralia.
Well, I've played in them, and having a chance to call a World Series, John, well, there's nothing like it.
Well, Mike, last year was very special. I get the feeling this one could be as well.
If I've learned anything about this beautiful game, and last year's a great example, it's to expect the unexpected.
Oh, yeah! David Freese has just sent us in the game number 2.
As the Cardinals go for 12-12, we have all the action on today's Hot Country 50,000-watt WMIX FM. Listen all summer long.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com. Glad to have you with us, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Hey, there, Chuckles.
It's, people are patiently waiting for everything.
Well,
It's so nice to see.
That is very true. Of course,
to our listeners.
Right. We welcome to the program now head coach of the Fairfield Mules. He is Justin Townsend. Coach Townsend, good morning.
Good morning.
I think it always has to be a good morning to wake up in Fairfield, head coach, and know that you have had a very nice run there. And, of course, since 2004, 2005, you've made the postseason every year but a couple of times. But last year, just narrowly missing at 4-5. How do the Mules look this year? Tell us about some of your key returning players and some of the skill positions.
Well, we're returning 6 guys on offense, 6 guys on defense. So we are excited about that. We're returning our leading rusher from last year, Dylan Bailey. He rushed for just under 1,000 yards last year, so we're obviously excited to have him back, and return our fullback, Andrew Garrison, another guy that I think was our 3rd leading rusher on the team. So definitely got some key guys coming back at the skill position. Return 3 linemen up front, so I'm definitely excited about those guys. We got a good mix. We got some guys returning, but we're definitely going to have some younger guys step up.
I go back to, Coach, when you look around the Black Diamond Conference, do you realize that you're the 2nd most tenured coach behind Kurt Simon in the conference now?
That's hard to believe. Honestly, it is. This coming up, I think on my 12th year maybe.
Yeah.
And it's flown by. It's been a blur. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I was able to get the job, right out of college, 22 years old. So. And it's just been a growing process ever since then. And obviously, you learn some things every year, and it's continued on to do that. But the funny thing about it is Coach Simon was actually a coach at McKendree my freshman year of college when I was there. So it's been a lot of fun. And like I said, I was fortunate to be able to come back to Fairfield, because I have played at Fairfield when I was in high school. So. Been a great opportunity.
You played at Fairfield when you were in high school in the NEC, and now coaching in the Black Diamond, so you've kind of been on both sides of the fence there. And I'll ask you the same question I asked Coach Simon from Carmi. How has the Black Diamond Conference fit Fairfield, not only in football but in all sports?
First of all, first thing I go to is the enrollment. We're around 400 kids. When I was in school, we were around 550. Even a few years before that, 600. So the enrollment has dropped, and with that, we needed a change. I mean, so it fits us very well for our school, our size, competition level. I mean, we're essentially a 2A school, and that's essentially the conference we're in. We're in a 2A conference, and so it's been good for us. It's been a good fit. The transportation, the driving distances, and things like that. We've gotten all that ironed out. I mean, obviously, Chester's a haul, but I mean, they're a good fit for the conference. I think it works out well with them too. So I've been pretty happy. I mean, obviously, I miss the old NEC. I miss the rivalries. I miss playing Flora every year. Fairfield Flora was always just a huge rivalry, whether it's basketball or football and things like that. But I think it's a good fit for us. It's done well for us, and I think we're pretty happy with it right now.
You mentioned 2012 and the kids returning for your team. You had some injuries and issues last year, 4-5 even. That's still a good record with the injuries you dealt with. This year, you open up with Hamilton County. That game has always been tough, whether it was Week 9 deciding who would get in or out of the playoffs.
Yep.
Couple of road games at Alvarado and Vienna on a Saturday afternoon in Week 3. But then it's kind of the meat of the schedule, I call it. El Dorado, Carmi, Sesser-Valier, Johnson City, Chester. That's a roll for your team to go through the middle of the season.
Yeah, we got to get off to a good start. We really need to be 3-0 going into El Dorado, and Hamilton County's got a new coach, younger guy. I think he's brought in some enthusiasm in him, so I think they're going to be much improved. They got 2 or 3 guys that are as good as anybody in the conference. A couple linemen and their fullbacks. I mean, so they got some athletes. So it's going to be important for us to get off to a good start. because, like you said, the middle stretch is going to be rough. I think El Dorado, Carmi-White, Johnston City is going to be your teams to beat. Sesser has some nice weapons coming back. So I mean, it's wide open. But just talking with coaches, it's not that we think anybody else is going to be down. We think everybody should be improved, and we feel the same way. We're going to be a second year in our offense that we put in last year, the double wing. So we feel a lot more comfortable. At this point in time last year, I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I was questioning myself, but we rushed for nearly 300 yards a game. So I feel a lot more confident going into this year, and we've really just taken some steps up to hopefully improve our defense a little bit and go from there. But I think it's going to be a very competitive conference this year, definitely.
I'll throw this out at you. Have you ever lost a Week 1 game in your head coaching career at Fairfield?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Don't jinx me.
I was going to. I don't want to jinx you, and I'm knocking on the wood now as I speak here in the studio. But you know me, I like to look up little things like this. But Fairfield has.
We have never lost. Now, my first year head coaching, 22 years old. We go to Albion in Edwards County, and we win by a touchdown, and we're 1-0. And the prior 3 years, Fairfield had gone 1-8. So, when we were 1-0 and we won Week 1, we thought we had it all figured out, and we ended up going 1-8 that year. So, we've won all our Week 1 games, but it doesn't, necessarily mean you're going to have a successful season.
It's
important to get off to a good start. Absolutely.
You know how I am. I look up little things like this when I have nothing else to do on it, whatever. But I just looked it up. I mean, Fairfield has the longest winning streak dating back to 01. That's NEC days as well. So no, I'm not trying to jinx you, but just looking up stuff like that.
Well, no bulletin board material this early.
No, there's no bulletin board material. I'm just stating the fact because I'll throw another one out there.
Just giving you a hard time. Hey, we prepare, Week 1 like a playoff game essentially because, last few years we've been on that 4-5, 5-4 bubble. There was even a few years ago we went 5-4 and didn't have enough points to get in. So, last year we were 4-5, but we lost to Chester by a point. Lost to some other teams by a couple touchdowns. I mean, we were in some games that we could have won. So, starting out 0-1 is not where you want to be because that the schedule is going to be tough throughout the year.
You talk about that scheduling, and I know that's hard to believe after that first stat of winning, but when you win your first game or first 2 games, your percentages are so much higher in football to get into playoffs at high school in Illinois because you got to play almost perfect football the rest of the way out if you go 1-1 or 0-2, don't you?
Absolutely, and every coach does it. When you know that you're going to be one of those teams, probably in the middle of the pack, which is where I think we're going to be. I think we can be a playoff team, definitely. I think on any given night we can beat somebody, but when it comes down to it, we're going to be one of those, I think, 5-4, 6-3 teams, maybe a 7-2, but you got to win week in and week out. Otherwise, you get, we've been in the situation, too, where we've been, I think, 2-4 before and had to win our last 3 to get in. And we've done it, but, that's a rough way to go. So, like you said, getting off to that good start, if you can start off 2-0, maybe hit your stride, knowing that, you got some games lined up and, kind of go from there.
Staying injury-free, that's also something else you got to throw in because in my little research of facts, no team has there's only 2 teams in the Black Diamond since '96 have went winless in their first 2 weeks and made it in. So it's impossible or almost.
Injuries are huge. You're talking about 1A, 2A, 3A football. You got to stay healthy. We have nearly 20 sophomores out, which is great. But I don't know that we have a lot of sophomores that are ready for varsity football yet. So our juniors and seniors got to stay healthy, and that's a good thing right now. We're just, we're playing juniors and seniors. We aren't needing our sophomores to step up, but a few injuries here and there, and you start plugging in a few sophomores here and there, and your complexion of your team can really change a lot. So, injuries are a huge part. We're not, we don't have enough kids. We aren't dressing 50 kids on a Friday night and can just plug somebody in. You know, we're dressing 30 kids, and you got to struggle sometimes. You know, I will say this year may be one of the first years that, you know, we're going to dress some freshmen because we think we got a pretty good freshman class coming in, and we probably got a few kids that might be able to play for us or help us out at least on special teams on Friday nights. And just getting those kids, you know, some of your older kids off the field for a play or two is going to be huge, especially with as hot as it's been this summer, and it's probably going to carry over in those first couple of weeks of the season.
Final question. We try to ask a unique question every week, whether it's sports-related or whatever and whatnot. This week's question is, what sport have you enjoyed watching, or what sport are you looking forward to watching during the Summer Olympics?
I'm a big track and field guy. I coach track, so I don't know if that's a little bit homer. That's something, you know. But I really like track and field. I think it's pretty neat. You know, but it's been pretty cool to watch. You know, I'll admit it. The gymnastics. It's been pretty neat. The women's powerlifting. The women that are 120 pounds lifting 3 times their body weight is just ridiculous. I mean, it has been crazy. So I always look forward to it every year. So,
I'm with you on the women's bodybuilding. That is just insane to see women.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a guy in Fairfield that is a power lifter, and he's 260 some pounds, and he had just competed at a meet, and I think with his lifts he would have placed like 12th in the 120 pound division. And it's just, you know, and heck, he won his division at the meet. So but definitely probably track and field, and that's just, once again, that's because that's something I'm interested in and think's pretty cool.
Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. Good luck to the Mules in 2012, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That is Justin Townsend, head coach of the Fairfield Mules, has been very successful, and we certainly hope Danny did not jinx the Mules in their Week 1 game, as they have not lost a Week 1 game since, well, he hasn't
2001.
He hasn't lost.
He's not lost.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. AJ's second in that list was 7. Followed by Carbondale Centralia with 3 in a row. Other than that, everybody's lost.
So he's always won a Week 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Our next guest might know something about that. Dan Mings, Johnson City Indians, will join us after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show at the bottom of the hour. It'd be good to catch up with Dan Mings, talk some Johnson City Indians football, and get his thoughts on the BDC here in 2012. This is the Black Diamond Conference preview on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX MyWithersRadio.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Back after these.
It's back and better than ever. Rend Lake College Golf Outlet's Super Demo Day on Saturday, August 25th. Major manufacturers' representatives will be on hand to answer any questions about your favorite equipment, plus free balls and fittings. You can test the latest and greatest golf equipment in the industry from Callaway, Mizuno, Cobra, Bridgestone, Adams, and more. Enjoy free hot dogs and soft drinks at Super Demo Day only Saturday, August 25th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Rend Lake College Golf Outlet off of Potomac Boulevard in Mount Vernon.
The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois proudly welcomes Dr. Brian Steinke to their medical staff. Dr. Steinke is an orthopedic surgeon specializing in spine surgery, treatment of the injured back, and will provide the newest state-of-the-art procedures in the region. Dr. Steinke is fellowship trained in spine and brings prestigious credentials to the center. Dr. Steinke will be seeing patients at the Mount Vernon and Centralia locations. To set up your appointment with Dr. Steinke, call 242-3778 or visit their informative website at orthocenter-si.com. Discover the difference.
All right, I want to ask you something, but you have to promise not to laugh at me.
Okay, what?
Do you think the State Farm jingle really works?
Like, for real? Like, if you sing the jingle, will your agent actually appear and help you out?
Yeah.
Of course it works. I saw it on the internet.
In reality, having your own State Farm agent means having a real person to help you when you need them. Tony Wilt in Mount Vernon is that State Farm agent. So call him today at 242-1421.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX MyWithersRadio.com. Find us on Twitter at WMIX Sports and Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Their ribbon cutting and celebration is Thursday, August the 9th. That's this Thursday at 2 p.m. as they will cut that ribbon on the new look. We'll just put it that way. Crossroads Community Hospital, our neighbor to the southwest. I left myself without a solid transition into Dan Mings. So we'll just say Dan Mings, Johnson City Indians football coach. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
You know what? We're doing pretty good. It's football time.
Oh, it's the best week of the year. Getting ready for football season. Beautiful wife and our anniversary, 19 years, so a lot of things are really good right now.
So you brought up the missus, so I'm going to go there. I've always been told, rumor has it, that you two met in college and that she was studying, obviously, athletic training, something along those lines, physical training, what have you, and you would feign injuries a lot just so you could talk to her. And as she
actually did, yeah. I faked a couple injuries just so I could get to the training room, so maybe not proud of it, but it was pretty effective.
Got to do what you got to do. Speaking of effective, Johnson City Indians last year, nice little postseason run, only lost one game in the regular season. That was to eventual BDC champ Carmi last year in Week 2. You guys made a nice little run after that. We were able to see the team down at Vienna in Week 9 before you went on to, I believe, play KZ Westfield in Week 10 in the postseason. All in all, your first season at Johnson City was pretty successful.
It really was. You know, it took a little bit of time to indoctrinate the kids into who we were and what we were doing and, sort of what we believed in, those types of things. But, once the kids bought in after, actually it's about after the CZR game, it was just a great season after that.
Speaking of a great season, we've been down there, checked it out. You have some new football facilities coming in to play on this year. Ralph Davidson Field gone, at least the old one. Something new down there. Tell our fans what you're going to be coaching on this season.
Well, it's pretty amazing, and the final walkthrough is Monday, and we'll have it by Wednesday, which is, pretty good because that's where we start. But, yeah, I mean, it's a brand-new turf field, brand-new track, new bleachers, new stadium, new locker rooms, new softball complex, added parking. It's been that place has been buzzing every day since April, and they're winding it down right now. But it's a really nice facility.
Let's get back to the on-the-field stuff. And your Johnson City team, obviously 8-2 last year. Who returns this year for Johnson City that you're going to be relying on in 2012?
Well, we played a lot of kids last year, but basically we lost offensively. We lost offensive tackle and a tight end. So we replaced those two. We have, some kids that just step in and fill those two spots, and we feel pretty good about, the continuity of our offense right now. Then on defense, we lost the fastest kid in the state from defensive end position. We lost two cornerbacks. So, we've got the defensive end position and the cornerbacks. We've got kids that stepped up and filled those. So we feel pretty good about the experience that we have and the kids that we have out. Life is pretty good for us. We just need to get some good, solid practices in.
Speaking of, the Black Diamond, obviously over the years, kind of changed from Johnson City, Carmi-White, Carterville, and the rest. Kind of more balanced now. Is there a team out there that you obviously can, if you want to pick your own, you can. But is there a team out there that you could say, hey, this team might be a favorite to win this conference this year?
That's Carmi-White. I mean, Coach Simon is pretty phenomenal. And then I think, at the end of the year last year, Sesser was probably, one of the better teams in the conference. Chester's going to be loaded. They took some lumps last year with some young kids, but they're going to be loaded this year. Coach Reed at Vienna, he says this is the year that they're going to make a playoff run. He feels pretty good about some things going on down there. CZR scares the water out of me. They came storming back on us last year. We had to hang on with everything we had to beat them. Fairfield is always going to be very competitive. Last year I think they started 4 or 5 wins in a row, whatever it was, and it was that was a heck of a game, probably a turning point for us. El Dorado was a battle. Coach Beitler probably knows me better than anybody in the conference coming in at Hamco, and he's going to have some things to say about what's going on there. So it's going to be a balanced conference, but I still think that Carmi is head and shoulders above everybody else.
Well, as we take a look at the BDC and take a look at your schedule here, in 2012, obviously you have that opening round game against Sesser-Valier this year. It used to be Week 9, but has since moved to Week 1 over the last season and into this season, and then it just kind of rolls along for the Indians at Carmi, hosting CZR, Actually, no, that's last year's schedule. Typical Hugo, though. As we actually take a look at the real schedule, you're at SV, then you host Carmi, then you're at CZR, and, of course, ET comes to you, I believe, on the 14th. Then you have Chester. Does it make you feel a little bit better to know that at least this year you have Chester and don't have to make that long trek?
Well, it's all about perspective. I didn't feel like it was that long of a trip.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
well, you know what? I forget. By comparison, Chester's nothing compared to Grays Lake and Geneseo and Ohio.
Right. I mean, it was just a nice little trip. You know, I mean, there was really nothing to it. I mean, about an hour and 10 minutes, and you're there. I mean, we go that part, you know, when that's Mount Vernon plays Belleville
Sure.
and Triad and those guys. So it's not a long trip.
Well,
you know, I think the perspective, you know, maybe some people down here is it's a long trip, but it's really not. It's easy, and you know, we've got pretty good bus drivers. So.
Well, and is that something that you're able to convey to kids? Because long bus rides can sometimes get in your head, and are you able to just kind of share your experiences and say, hey, this is nothing, wait till you go to Grays Lake Central?
Yeah, I mean, put your headphones on, drink a little Gatorade, let's go. I mean, it's not a big deal. So, you know, I think we did a good job of that with our kids last year, and, you know, we went to Carmi, went to Chester, the 2 long trips, and, you know, this year I guess we'll go and have a long trip to Fairfield, but, you know, it's not long.
Well, you don't have...
I mean, this gives you time to get fired up and wind down on the way home. So.
Well, you don't have any where you have to stop at a rest area and have a sandwich on the side of the road. Nothing like that, which is kind of nice.
Right. I mean, we could, I guess.
Well, you might as well, if the urge is there.
But, you know, guys, this is a pretty good conference. This really is a pretty good conference, and, you know, I think that, you know, we have the kids to be competitive in the conference. You know, we want to be at the top of the conference, you know, just like traditionally, just like every year that Johnston City is. But, you know, with the new coaches coming in, the way that, you know, I've known the coaching staffs from the other schools and those types of things, it's quality coaching going on down here. And there's a lot of great coaches, and, you know, their kids are no different than any other kids. You know, there's just not as many of them. So, it's going to be a lot of fun for us.
You always mention about how a head coach is only as good as his assistants. Is your coaching staff fairly similar to it was last year? I assume that Lane Kiffin, Steve McCoy is still gonna run your offense.
Yeah, we're the same. You know, Justin Groves, who was got on as a teacher here last year. Actually, the Mings came in and swooped him away, gave him a pretty good little package. So. About 3/4 through the school year, he took a job with the coal mines, you know, doing technology stuff. But we bring in Michael Warren, who is a really good All-South player, you know, whenever he played in high school at West Frankfort. So we bring him in to sort of, you know, fill his shoes, and Coach Groves will be around a little bit as much as he possibly can. So we're the same as we were last year, and you know, with our numbers and stuff like that, I mean, we're going to be stretched pretty thin, but everything looks good.
A little birdie flew up to our window, wanted to know what you were up to this morning. Told us to ask you what was going on at the Mings household.
Well, nothing right now. There's a torrential rainstorm down here. We got 7 drops of rain, so my wife had to, you know, put away her rummage sale stuff. But yeah, this 7 drops of rain is really going to help us down here a little bit with this drought.
Well, we were told that you maybe were in charge of the rummage sale. That's why we were told to ask by somebody you know.
It's good if I do not control any kind of money or do anything really household, because I'll just screw it up.
So she just let you she priced everything, just kind of let you put the stickers on everything? Is that how that works?
Well, I'm not very smart, so I just carry the heavy stuff.
You know what?
That's pretty much how we do it. I just carry heavy things.
We all need a purpose in life, and you know, it's time for the WMIX Sports question of the week. And trust me, it's not baseball related, because the IOC is not smart enough to have baseball anymore. But as far as the Summer Olympics, which sport have you been thoroughly enjoying, or which sport are you looking forward to watching in these 2012 games?
You know what? I like it all. You know, the swimming has been phenomenal. You know, the only thing I'm not crazy about is Olympic boxing. You know, take the headgear off and put a horseshoe in the glove and let's go. You know, something like that. But the rest of it, I'm just a huge fan. You know, I watched the women's 10,000-meter race the other day, and that was I was riveted to the TV. So I'm just a big fan of the whole thing. seeing the 15-year-old girl last night win that race.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 15 years old, and she is the best in the world, and it was convincing. So, I don't think I've really missed too much of it. Really excited about the fencing coming up and, those types of things.
You strike me as a guy that would like badminton. Am I accurate?
I love badminton.
You ever played Lonan in badminton?
I have played Coach Lonan before, but that was back in the days of Edwards County. He was a lot younger and a little bit more mobile then. I'd be afraid what I'd do to him now.
So you actually beat Lonan? Because all I hear at the high school now is how Lonan beats up on everybody. Of course, those are mostly kids.
No, I didn't say that I beat Lonan.
Oh, okay.
He was a lot younger then.
Oh,
okay. He was a little bit more agile. Now I would feel bad. He's a little bit older and stiff and those types of things. So we didn't play while we were at Mount Vernon, but he may be one of the the top 6 internationally that I know.
Wow, does that include the Chinese team that threw off?
Well, I don't know them.
Okay.
But if they were to throw the match, like they did the other night, then I'm pretty sure Lonnie could be at least competitive.
Maybe you could play him down on the new turf at Johnson City. You have a step faster on him then.
Oh, well, the invitation will be there.
That'd be interesting.
That might fill the seats.
Well, it may. It may. I'm not sure that geriatric badminton is a big spectator sport, but
hey,
maybe he can still do it.
I guarantee you that kind of badminton is a lot better than horse dancing going on at the Olympics. Because if that beats baseball and softball in the Olympics, I just wonder who's in charge of picking sports.
Oh, I don't mind watching the dressage and that type of stuff, and I think that softball should be there. It's a very competitive type of thing. So, I don't know what they were thinking, but again, for some reason, people don't ask my opinion on a lot of things. So we'll just have to watch it and go USA.
Of course, Dan, it's always great to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again after a Johnston City victory at some point this season. I know you guys have Hamco Week 1. Good luck.
Sesser Week 1.
That's right. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong school.
Yes, but we will talk again. You guys can't get rid of me that easy.
Well, yeah, you're right. Good luck to you, Dan. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
That's Dan Mings, and I have too many tabs open on my Firefox browser. But yes, they have Sesser Week 1.
Yep.
That used to be a Week 9 game. Now it's a Week 1 game, and this year it's at Sesser.
At Sesser.
See, there you go.
And then Week 2, with all the pomp and circumstance of the new turf field and blah, 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 and this and that and another, it's almost like another homecoming week. You get Carmi. And then you go at CZR, a team that they only beat by 6 last year. Very difficult first 3 weeks of the season for Johnston City in regards to competition, pomp and circumstance, and last year. Before Alvarado at home, Chester at home, you don't have to make the drive. But then 3 road games, El Dorado, Fairfield, Hamilton County, going to be tough through that stretch. Johnson City's going to be tested in that stretch for sure.
Well, and taking a look down at the rest of the schedule, and they do have Hamco on the schedule, obviously, being in the same conference. That just happens to be a Week 8 game.
Right.
And as I strive to be accurate now. But you take a look up and down their schedule, and there's no reason to think that a repetition of last year isn't possible. I mean, that's very possible, maybe even likely, but there's going to be a lot of teams in the BDC this year that are going to have something to say about that. Obviously, we couldn't talk to Coach Lee from Chester. We weren't able to get Coach Hampton. There's only so many minutes in a 2-hour program in which you can actually thoroughly dissect a conference, so we didn't want to rush through anybody and get everybody. But, thought we had a solid 6 coaches, 6 of the 10 in the BDC, and kind of as far as the ones that are in our immediate area, we're able to find out a little bit more about their programs. And I think if you're Kurt Simon, you have to like what you have coming back at CWC. If you're Coach Mings, you have to like what you have in Johnston City. And, of course, you take a look at Hamco and a lot of possibilities there. Alvarado Trico, if they can just get find a coach that they can stick with and a coach that's subsequently going to be very patient. You never know what might happen there. El Dorado, Coach Hampton's been pretty patient. Things are starting to pay off down there for him. CZR. There's a lot of possibilities there as well. And so, the Vienna-Goreville co-op with Coach Rude down there, the possibilities are endless for the BDC over the next few years.
I think the things that stand out for me in the Black Diamond Conference this year, coaching changes, because you're seeing a lot of those coaches change over. Coach Simon and Coach Townsend, now the longest tenured coaches, Alvarado, Hamilton County, and Sesser-Valier-Waltonville-Woodlawn, all with new coaches this year. So 3/10 of the conference with new coaches. The other thing that concerns me, and this goes back to is the fact, what does the Black Diamond Conference do against the rest of the world? And what I mean is when it comes down to when they get in the postseason. And since '96, the Black Diamond's only 2-6 against the LIC. They're only 4-6 against the Cahokia Conference. And when you talk about the big one, the River to River versus the Diamond is only 7-15 in the playoffs since '96. 4 of those came in '96 when Carterville won the state title. So it's not been a good run. And again, it's good as a 10-team conference to have the ability to have not to worry about your schedule. But it's also wondering, when you get out to Week 10, what are you like against the LIC, Cahokia, River to River?
Well, and here's the other thing about that is, with regard to the deep run in the postseason, something that a lot of people may not necessarily comprehend is, I don't care where you are in Southern Illinois, Northern Illinois, and even parts of Central Illinois, football is just a different animal up there, whereas basketball historically, typically has been stronger here in the South. But you take a look at some of these teams, and it's no wonder. I mean, you look at KZ Westfield, and they're going to have, I believe, a new coach this year. And, that's a long story tradition up there. That's who Johnson City ran into, I believe. No, that was Pinckneyville that ran into them. Somebody ran into them this past year.
Pinckneyville?
Maybe.
Who was you talking about?
I don't remember.
I was too busy being in.
My mind is all over
I got
the place.
distracted because Team USA men's basketball is tied in the third quarter.
Yeah.
A shock. Yeah,
I'm looking at all kinds of stuff.
You don't get to play everybody.
Anyhow, basically the thing with the Black Diamond Conference is that kind of becomes a topic for discussion on whether that close conference schedule hurts them or not.
It helps in the fact you don't have to worry about scheduling games.
No 9-hour road
conference.
trips. Yeah.
But since that time, you have to look and wonder, okay, getting out of the Black Diamond, what's going to happen? And they have a losing record since '96, at least by my unofficial, I have nothing else better to do in life, look up things like this. But it's, against the River to River regular season. They won't do this anymore at the 10-team conference. They're 20-21. Well, a lot of those wins happened early in the mid-'90s to early 2000s.
And are you better off trying to find 2 more teams, like a Sparta, maybe a Flora, if you could lure them in, and trying to go to two divisions of 6. I mean, but here's the other thing with that. We don't know what the IHSA is going to be up to any given year and if they're going to toy around with football at all. So, all of this could be moot before we know it. Don't forget Crossroads Community Hospital ribbon cutting for their new facility, new look facility even, will be on Thursday at 2 o'clock. So there will be reception and tours to follow. Everybody's welcome to come check out the ribbon cutting at Crossroads Community Hospital. That's at 2 p.m. That's Central Time, in case you might be in our listening area in the Eastern Time Zone over there in portions of Indiana. There you go. That's 2 p.m. Central at Crossroads Community Hospital, just behind us. If you know where WMIX is, Crossroads Community Hospital is easy to find. That said, we can take a break. Our last break here on the Saturday Sports Show, Black Diamond Conference Preview. We're actually going to talk a little bit of high school basketball when we come back. More on that after the break, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after this.
Tired of trying to find the Chicago Cubs on TV here in Southern Illinois? Tune your radio to 98.9 Wish FM for the Chicago Cubs.
That's one in the air. Deep left field. This ball's got a chance. Gone.
Pat Hughes, Keith Moreland, and Judd Surratt bring you all the action of the Cubs radio network on Wish 98.9. Don't miss a pitch on Southern Illinois' FM home for the Chicago Cubs.
This ball's gone. 3-run homer. Alfonso Soriano, and the Cubs have broken open.
Are the features with your free checking account disappearing? Hi, this is Nina Reitnauer, relationship banker with People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. A free checking account from People's National Bank includes unlimited check writing, online banking, no minimum balance requirements, bill pay, a Visa check card, and only takes $100 to open. Stop by People's National Bank and get the free checking account you deserve. People's National Bank, member FDIC. Non-usage fees may apply.
Hi, this is Debbie Richardson, Marketing Director at Crossroads Community Hospital. We would like to invite you to join us on Thursday, August 9th for our ribbon cutting and celebration as we present our $23 million gift to the community. Our beautiful new building will quickly become an iconic symbol in the area as the towers light the night sky. We will continue to strive to become the healthcare provider of choice for Jefferson County and the surrounding area. Please join us on Thursday, August 9th at 2 p.m. for the ceremony, reception, and tours. Crossroads Community Hospital, it's more than a hospital, it's what healthcare should be.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com. Glad to have you with us, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Twitter, you can find us there at WMIX Sports. Facebook as well, Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Hard to believe, Mount Vernon Rams Athletics on the radio about to return to us. Of course, as we have volleyball on Thursday, August the 23rd. Shagnon Gym. I said J.D. Shields.
It'll be a nice, cool 70 degrees, I'm sure.
Well, if we had a segment of what did we do wrong today, first of all, it'd be full of Hugo mistakes. But secondly, it would have been that I said J.D. Shields Memorial Stadium earlier. Of course, we do not play volleyball outdoors, regardless of what I try to tell you. But Shagnon Gym, you can join us online with video at mywithersradio.com, or you can tune in to AM 940. The following night on Friday, wow, it'll be the defending 4A state champion Rochester Rockets and the Mount Vernon Rams. You can watch that on mywithersradio.com as well. Of course, tune in on your radio home for Rams Sports AM 940. There you have that. Of course, I told you we'd talk some high school basketball after the break. It's football preview time, but we're not done. We know there's other things going on as well. Of course, there was supposed to have been some grade school action going on today in the world of baseball and softball, but
as of now,
still on?
As of now, it is still on. Just checked with somebody who's out at the ballpark, and as of now, everything's on, but it does not look good.
I'm going to tell you right now, it won't be in a little bit.
No, it's going to rain all day.
Yeah.
Which is what we need.
You're right. We're a little dry. I mean, the last of this particular system is getting ready to cross over the river as far as the northern edge of it. The bottom edge of it is still pretty deep into SEMO. We'll just leave it at that. We do need the rain. That's absolutely right. And certainly hope that we get plenty, as it now appears that a chance tomorrow has been greatly increased. It's 77 degrees right now here at the WMIX studios, as we are 7 shy of the top of the 10 o'clock hour on the Saturday Sports Show. The high school basketball we were flirting with before the break. A few weeks ago, you might remember that we had the new Weber Township High School boys basketball coach on, Keith Jones. Well, he found an opportunity on a personal level that was better for him. So Weber was seeking a new head coach already, and they've been able to track down Chad Harper and bring him back to the head coaching ranks. So the former Waltonville Spartans head basketball coach, now the head coach of Weber Township. We were trying to get Coach Harper today, unable to connect with him to make that happen. But it's good to see Coach Harper back in the high school head coaching ranks. And he'll have Brad Beatty as an assistant.
Returning back to Weber Township, he was there on the team as an assistant at Weber when they went to the Super. So very familiar with Weber Township and what goes on at the high school. And with Brad Beatty on, with him helping there, he will be in the same conference as Waltonville returns. And Weber Township does play at Waltonville this year, because last year that game was at Weber Township, I believe, based on the schedule and conference. So that'll be interesting to see him and his Weber Township Trojans team come back in. Of course, Weber last year didn't win a game, but we did cover several of their games last year and will again this winter.
Well, and it's one of those things where, with him having Brad as his assistant, there's the thing with Weber has not just been the struggle for a head coach, but an assistant coach as well. So you have pretty solid basketball minds there now, kind of tag team in that. And so, you look forward to what may come at Weber Township, and the conversation has long been, what's it going to take for Weber to return to glory? Obviously, a 2-class super sectional run can't happen anymore. We're in 4 classes now. But, looking at that, it's just going to take a coach who's going to be patient and willing to stick with it. And it sounds like Chad Harper is the man to do that.
It's going to be a case of measuring stick of the program on and off the floor. I mean, it's wins are going to be hard to come by, and it's going to be one of those deals where it's going to take some building not only on the floor but off, build that program up, and you're going to see gains made, maybe not in wins and losses, but in other ways.
Well, and it gives you somebody, again, that you can talk UK basketball with over the course of the winter. I know it's something that you like to concern yourself with.
Very concerned.
I hear you're a fan.
I've heard.
It's word on the street
believe,
anyway.
Yeah.
What on earth is this? Oh, man, let somebody else use my computer. Actually, it's not my computer.
Yeah.
But I let somebody else use this, so it's kind of funky. I'm trying to do something right now. Anyhow, pardon me. I was trying to avoid the cough there. Wasn't able to make that happen. Next week, we hope to have a pretty loaded lineup for you as we continue with our football previews. As next week, we're going to shift our gears to the river to river, Ohio and Mississippi. And, there's some new coaches. One new coach in the river to river. We hope to. 2 new coaches. 3. 1.
Oh, I'm shaking my head at something else. What are you talking about?
Okay.
River's not changed much.
No, just 1. Right? Nashville,
Tim Kuhn. Right. Sparta also changed, as now they will have, let me look here. I got to think of the guy's name now. The Sparta's got a new coach. Nashville has a new coach. But everybody on the river to river Ohio side stays the same. You have your usual crew of Carnes, Clodfelder, Roper, Glass, Beery on that side, and Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro does not change this year either, Gary Carter. So you look at the other side, there's 2 changes, and really there's been 3 in a diamond and 2 in the river to river Mississippi. Other than that, everybody stays the same.
Yeah, even, when you look at the Cahokia Conference and you look at the South 7, you look at the Apollo, really not a whole lot of changes to speak of, and we're going to try to catch up with coaches from around the area in our third football preview. We'll talk some South 7 plus some other areas as well. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. But we'll look forward to the river to river next week. We have a lineup in mind that we're hoping to get. We don't want to promote that just yet in case we are unable to catch up with one of those guests. But we think next week will be a pretty solid program in terms of our high school football preview for a second of 3 weeks.
Of course, we'll also mention, we'll jump in and get those other sports as well, volleyball, golf, cross-country, tennis going on next week starting. And very interesting to see how golf goes, different makeup this year, different divisions of teams being divided up. I'm also interested in volleyball as some changes as well. We'll get some of those teams that were affected by changes.
In a lot of those sports, we like to get in season. Because while you can preview your team, football, you have the advantage of going back and maybe looking at film from prior years and things of that nature. Not all of these sports film, and so sometimes you're able to get a little bit more about other teams before the season even starts. But we do plan to talk extensively with volleyball. We do plan to talk golf. We do plan to talk girls tennis. We do plan to talk all of the above as we get into full swing. And, as the August 25th show runs around and we're no longer previewing, we're reviewing, I think that the action will really pick up here on the Saturday Sports Show over the coming weeks, and it should be a lot of fun. We're almost there.
It's basically here. It's time to go. And junior high starts kicking. That roller coaster goes down that hill, and it's time to go. It's hard to believe it. 3 weeks from today, you're going to be reading scores from the area and start talking about if you go 1-0, 2-0, 1-1, 0-2, winning out, winning in, winning, how your playoff chances are.
And we're hoping, while we're not rooting against anybody, we're just hoping we didn't jinx one of the longest streaks that we told you about, that Danny told you about here today, and that's the Week 1 streak that Justin Townsend has at Fairfield. Hasn't lost a game in Week 1 in his career there at the helm of Fairfield. So interesting to note. We'll see if that continues. That'll be something you'll find out as you want to stay tuned to the Saturday Sports Show. We'll bring you scores multiple times every show, and we will probably have more score updates than anybody else during our in-game coverage on Friday Night Football. So that'll be exciting. We look forward to all of that coming up as well. Bring back a lot of exciting facets to Rams athletics, both with video and radio coverage here on WMIX. So we'll stay up to date on all of that. You can find our broadcast schedule as is concerned right now on mywithersradio.com. You can find some of our archives from last year. Baseball and softball still to come. We don't have that up yet. We are working on that from last year. We're going to start uploading the Saturday Sports Show as well. So if you miss it any week, you'll be able to find it on mywithersradio.com. Just go to the WMIX website. It's all under the sports tab on the WMIX website at mywithersradio.com. We're worldwide. We are WMIX Mount Vernon. This has been the Saturday Sports Show, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital, NBC News Now.